via email and or here provided to you.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
But discussion, 2020, number 5, it should be 2023. Correct that?
We need to say that before we do the second one.
Oh, no, it's fine. Sir, President.
Yeah, you should.
Number 5,
2022 festival, but 2022 theme is under the big top.
oh, correct. On the agenda, that should be 2023. Yes. Thank you, Jen. Sorry. And you hear my voice, so if you're talking, and I'll go through this in just a bit. Be sure your microphone is turned to green if you're going to be talking. We are broadcasting the meeting, so they record it and broadcast to those that are watching on the internet. So, okay, noted that yes, that is correct. That should be 2023. I'll give an update on 2022 corn mural update.
So we got a first and a second. Any more further discussion? Changes, omission?
Yes, there is. I would like to move the 2022 entertainment review because of contracts and contact prices. Move that to executive session. So number 4 under agenda item or director report 4 to executive session. So we will need to go into executive session to discuss that.
Anything else? Okay. Now all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda has been approved. How about approval of minutes from last meeting? Which was, what, September 15th?
I'll make a motion to approve. Is that taken over?
I'm, Stephanie's, I think, engaged in her online meeting. So on the minutes, let me start here. Jeff making a motion to approve. Okay.
Jordan, second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes approved. Agenda items, director's report with Doug. Happy birthday, by the way, Doug.
Thank you. Thank you. If it wasn't improper, I'd bring you treats, but no, maybe I still can. It was, and we do take that very seriously. In all seriousness, as a board member, I had a nice note given to me yesterday with a very nice stipend in it for presenting on the Corn Palace to a group that was here in town. And I said, you know what, this is much appreciated. The note is enough. We're not allowed to take payment for that, especially when I'm talking about representing the Corn Palace to a meeting. So we donated that back to that nonprofit that was going to give it to us. So that's why we do that. We do take that seriously as a city director and as a board member of a city board. If you're approached with those kinds of things, I mean, we aren't offered thousands of dollars to get tickets to Hairball, for example. But if you were, that would be frowned upon, and we'd ask you not to do that. So if you have any questions or doubts, just say, hold on, I'm not sure if I'd accept that. But I don't know if that happens. Celebrities like Steve, it might. But
I just wanted a popcorn bowl. That's all I wanted.
That's it. So, well, first off, we want to welcome our new board members, and I think just do a real quick introduction. There's the municipal meetings are going on starting tomorrow. So I know the mayor and city administrator Stephanie Elwine are normally set in on these meetings. So I think they're getting some things ready before they leave. So they're an ad hoc member, if you will. So we had last meeting, we had 2 3-year terms, but 3 members had their last meeting. So, and we did a public note of thanks to Brad Zimmerman, Sue Kipke, and Ron Kogel. Those members were replaced by the mayor, which included John Foster. So, John, we appreciate you being here. And Gio Lanier, or Gio Bonnie, but he can be called Gio, he says. So I'm looking forward to working with them. And then Carol Sersasimo. Carol Sersasimo was the 3rd member, so it's the 3-year term. So all of you were appointed to, I believe they were all 3-year terms. Stephanie reminds me of that and keeps track. Carol is out of town, and actually we were going to Zoom her in, but she's in a different time zone, and so she's literally at work and couldn't join us. So she doesn't think that'll happen very often. And Zoom is always an option. If you're traveling, not feeling well in this COVID situation, we can easily throw a Zoom meeting together and have that work from here. Easy for me to say when my projector's not working. Well, Andrew stole our stuff, or my stuff to plug into, so I don't know why. Do you see anything there?
Nope, it says no signal.
You said you were all
Yeah,
set.
you said you're all set. You really need an assistant director.
I'll address that as well. So welcome to our new members. I think we should go around the room just to make sure that we don't assume that everyone knows everyone else. So I'm Doug Greenway. I'm the director of the Corn Palace. We currently don't have an assistant director, and I'll address that. We are actually hiring for a box office concession supervisor. We'll basically be the number 2 in charge of the Corn Palace, and we're currently have got applications for that, and I'll explain that just a bit more. So, welcome.
I'm Jean Keeler, retired, sort of, semi-retired. I know. Golfing.
I think, obviously, I know all 3 of you, but I am the representative on City Council, Jeff Smith.
Jordan Gow, currently work at Fisher Allen's here in town, and went to school at Dakota Wesleyan, Alexandria native, so welcome to you guys.
Steve Morgan, now of KMIT, and president of this rowdy bunch, hopefully for only a few more months, and then I'll turn it over to John Foster or Gio, one of the two.
And I'm Jen Bradley, Director of Tourism and Marketing for the Chamber and Convention Visitors Bureau.
It's in the minutes.
It's official.
John Foster, and one of the owners of the depot. My daughter and I own that. Yeah.
I'm Jim Lyon here, I work at Third Season Village Bowl, and I live here my whole life.
Thank you very much. And I think the only one we're missing, other than Carol, will be new, is Stratton Havlick. Stratton's at Exit Realty, but not at the bank anymore, or also at the Wells. Well, he was at Wells Fargo. Stratton. Yeah, I think he.
Stratton was, he was at a realtors meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, last week.
So, yeah, Stratton Havlick is also on this board. So, okay, we've got a screen back, so that's good. So when we record these meetings, again, they're public meetings, so you want to have your microphone on, and we want to, keep any comments that might be, inflammatory or something that could be better left to executive session if it's dealing with contracts or prices, those kinds of things, we will move to an executive session because that can't be public information. We're allowed to discuss contracts, prices, costs in that level. So, all right, with that, I will move forward with my agenda items. So we have an event tonight, and I'm just kind of leading into events at 5 o'clock. So, and we have to do some setup for it. It's a youth ministry rally, and they're expecting 200 to 300 people. Just a nice little event. Starts at 6, be done about 8 o'clock. We had a wonderful turnout for the National Kids Pedal Pull on September 25th. Well over 2,000, probably closer to 2,400. We had a bunch leave, thank goodness, because we didn't have bleachers out. We wouldn't have been able to hold them all if no one would have left. 525 pullers, 12 states were represented. Hotels were full, hopefully the restaurants. It was a good event for the Corn Palace and Mitchell, no doubt. We have our first high school event in the Corn Palace this week with the Mitchell High Cheer and Dance. That starts at 10 o'clock. Then we have the Pheasant Banquet on the 15th, which we expect 500 to 600 there. They'll set that up on Thursday. The doors open at 5 on Friday the 15th. And that's a great group to work with. They set up Thursday afternoon, and they tear down Friday, and it's all cleaned up and ready to go. There was there was a boxing event scheduled for the 16th due to some licensing issues and just the expense of some of the things he had to do. He was not able to hold that event, so that was canceled about 2 weeks ago. So that won't be happening. So then we'll move right into Dakota Wesleyan basketball on the 27th and 30th of October. And then they take a break till after Thanksgiving. Then we have the Hairball Concert is booked, and tickets are ready to roll out. That concert is November 13th. So that'll be literally 2 years to the week that I started. I started the week of Hairball in 19, and we're bringing them back. They've been drawing great crowds. That will be a $25 ticket. With fees, it'll be $30 at the box office or $31.50 or $32 online. Those will go on sale on October 13th, 1 month early. It's a general admission ticket, standing, sitting. There's no party pit. It's just one ticket. Very easy to sell and easy for folks to attend. So you'll be hearing some print ad, some radio ad, and some social media coming out about that show, starting also on the 13th of October. And then, of November, but the tickets go on sale October 13th, and the radio ads. So the concert's the 13th, and on the 15th, that's Monday, we will actually resurface the Corn Palace floor, get ready for basketball. So right now, you'll see a temporary taped line that we're allowed to use for the first 2 games, and then that will come off. A new line is painted because the NAI moved the 3-point line back almost a foot or so. So we've removed the other line, and now we have a temporary line, but the manufacturer doesn't recommend we paint it. You paint it and then resurface at the same time. So that'll be done the week of the 15th of November. And then it'll set until through Thanksgiving. And then we'll be able to be on it the rest of the season. It'll look great. So that's kind of the plan there. As far as our hiring update, a couple things there. So the position of assistant director, which was Nick Vector. Nick went to Westford Mitchell Tech at the end of July. And we've been hoping to kind of get this process going, so we have basically a backup to me in the event I can't be here for something. And it's gone well. We've had 2 wonderful high school girls and 1 Dakota Wesleyan girl who have covered the box office really well till then. But apps have been, the job closed at 5 o'clock yesterday. We had 12 applicants, and we'll be interviewing 4 or 5 of those 12. And I think we'll have some really good candidates. Those interviews will be next week. Liz Kitchens, HR manager, and I, our director, and I will be doing those interviews Tuesday through Friday of next week. As far as decorators, so Jeff Hansen is our supervisor of maintenance here. You know Jeff, he's been here many years. Also our lead decorator. We are looking to add some decorators. So if you know of someone, as a lot of people are looking, right? And you know our rate of pay is not very high, quite honestly. You know, they'd be at $11.45 an hour if they can work on a lift, which is well below what most places are paying. But it is a novelty to work at the Corn Palace. It's a fun work environment. So we hope there's some intrigue there. If you know of anybody who would be very flexible, they can work anywhere between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So we have some MTI students that come after school and cut and go corn. So if you get a chance, our first mural is going up. You'll see the word circus, and it's really sharp and bright. And last night with the purple background, it really looked neat. So it's going to be a fun theme, and we're already moving toward the 2023 theme. So we're hiring some decorators. We'd like to add 4. That time we should be done about Thanksgiving time with the murals, if all goes well. And then concessions. The plan is in concessions. We're going to let our new person come in to have an opportunity to interview and hire some more part-timers. But we've got good coverage through this summer, but we lost a lot of seniors that went to college, and then a few are band and show choir who took the fall off because they were in a couple activities, and they'll start in the winter again. So, but we have enough to cover our first Dakota Wesleyan games at home with one side and 2 windows. But with full crowds coming back, up to 2,000, 2,500 fans, we know we need to open up our south side concessions. So we're going to be adding 3 or 4 part-time concessions too. And those are real flexible. Adults, 14-year-olds to adults, makes no difference. So again, we're in that $9.85 to $10.45 an hour, working a 3 to 5 hour shift, depending, all games. So.
How did our corn come in this year?
The corn, yeah, it's a great question. I actually have that on the items here, but it's a good question. No, it's very dry, as all farmers are finding out. The soybeans, corn are very dry. Ours is literally too dry. It's fine. It's a great crop. The ears are really nicely filled out. It's wonderful ears of corn, good color, but it's dry, which means we have to soak it. Because if we don't soak it before we saw the ends off and split it down the middle, it shatters all over, and we put on corn that's missing a bunch of kernels. So as you can imagine, we have these big tubs in the back, soak it in water, warm water actually, releases it and it absorbs better. And then we saw it and apply it within 2 days. If we don't, and it curls up, we can't get it straight. So it does add an element of work to doing it. We really would like that corn 15% to 20%, and it's coming in at about 10. Very dry. The cobs are hard. I mean, they're hard to saw. It's like sawing wood. It really is. Just like sawing a pine board, where normally you just zing them through the cutter and as fast as you can. We have to almost think of a board through a table saw. That's the speed we have to saw. If we soak them, it goes much better. But the crop is wonderful, and we've got the colors we need to do what we need to do. And Jeff and Brett are in contact daily on what we need. So he's been really responsive that way. No concerns at all. Any questions about the hiring where we're looking for folks? Okay. Plaza Corn Palace activity, I mentioned that. We had a day of prayer last night for domestic violence awareness. So we painted the Corn Palace purple, and they had a band out there, and there was some, just basically some thoughts about domestic violence awareness, I guess. I didn't go, but there was a nice crowd there, and that plaza's been a really nice avenue this summer. The weather's been so nice. It was hot for farmers market, but really nice. We're looking at doing something over the holidays in there for our, we've set the Parade of Lights date and Christmas at the Palace, and I'll talk more about that next month. Going to get you updated on that. The murals are going up. Our theme, which for our new folks, our 2022 theme is Under the Big Top. So what you're seeing on the Corn Palace now is 2021, South Dakota Stay and Play, and some of those were up, like the two front ones and the Bull Rider were up from 19. They still fit the theme, and that was the COVID year. We didn't hire any decorators. So everything we did was with our full-time staff. So these are some of our new ones. This will be, so Circus is mural 1, which is going up with a ringmaster, and it's a circus ticket. This is number 2, so where the Corn Palace is, this will be the elephants. Around the corner where the Bull Rider is going to be these tigers with a black horn. It's going to look really sharp. Coming down Main Street, that tiger's just going to leap out. I mean, that tiger's 30 feet tall. I mean, it's a big tiger. And then, of course, we have the theme is the circus. So we're making a tribute to the Shriners. I mentioned this publicly at the chamber meeting last week. The Shriners many of them were here for that release because one of the Shriners, a longtime Corn Palace employee, Troy Magnuson, is Popcorn. That's his alter ego for the Shriners. So he's going to be on the Corn Palace, and one of only a few living people, certainly, maybe the only one, I don't know, that's on the Corn Palace. So
If we have to leave him up for famous South Dakotans, we can do it.
we could. So anyway, the Shriners got a wind of us because they were here to see the release and to kind of honor Troy a bit. And they went to a national Shriner meeting, and the state Riot Shrine person said, hey, the Corn Palace is doing a circus theme, and they're going to put the Fez on there and one of our Shriners. They said, gosh, we should go do a parade. So there was very serious discussion of doing the National Shriners Parade here in Mitchell next May or June.
Wow.
So we'll see. They're looking at the logistics of it. They have all the information. We have a local Shriner in Dustin Knutson, plus, well, Steve, you probably know more about this. As a Shriner, we don't know if it will happen, but it's the fact that they're talking about it and the fact that we have a theme on the Corn Palace that impacted something like that's pretty cool. And then these others, you'll see the trapeze, the big top. This actually stretched. That tent is much wider than that. And the clown getting shot out of the cannon, and of course the horse as well. And those will all go up. It takes the south ones, when we have the corn ready, it takes about 2 days to do those murals, just to give you an idea with the corn. These ones in front are large. They take a couple weeks, but we can do almost 4 of those to every one of these big ones. So, any questions about the decorating? The weather's been great. We just need a few more people, so we have a person cutting corn at night, and then they apply it during the day. So it's been working, but we could do more if we had a few more bodies. Okay. And in the essence of time, I want to move on to our theme. Kyle, so Dakota Wesleyan University's graphic design program designs the murals. based on a theme given from the board. And this board last year had chosen the Under the Big Top theme and came up with a circus. And then the college students came up with these designs. In fact, they gave us probably twice this many. We filtered them down to the ones we liked. We wanted clowns, we wanted elephants, we wanted a big top tent, things like that. Then this board came up with the next 2 years' themes. They wanted to do famous South Dakotans and national parks for 23 and 24. So in 2021, right now, we're putting up the 2022 murals. So they'll be up in 2022. Next year at this time, then we'll pick, so the theme we're picking up now is for the 2023 theme. Then the college will work on these through the winter, and we'll give them ideas, and then they'll bring finals back to us January, February, and then 22 murals, right? These will be on the Corn Palace. The students will design the new ones for 2023, and then come June, we'll start tearing off the grasses and the straws, preparing for the 23 murals, which will start about now. In end of September of 22, we'll put the 23 up. Famous South Dakotans. I don't know if I maybe confused you on that. I was confused for a while too, but we're always a year ahead. Sometimes it confuses our tourists too. That's why we don't put the marquee up with a year until it's done. So, famous South Dakotans. Kyle Hergis is the professor of the program, and he asked me the other day, and I will just show that to you. I think I put it in my invite. I do apologize, there was a little confusion. I had to, because I sent out invites for the meetings for the next 4 months with 3 old board members on it, or past board members, I needed to cancel that and add the new one. So what I'll do for the rest of you is, that might happen for other 2 meetings, because we have people that invited that aren't on the board. So anyway, Kyle said, he says, for famous South Dakotans, let's see if I can zoom in there a little bit. We're using people still alive. We ran into this problem with the South Dakota homegrown theme. Where do we draw the line for inclusion? Okay, the last time was living people are difficult because we are one offensive tweet away from an offensive mural. Okay, which in this day and age, that makes some sense. We have to be a little bit careful about that. And he mentioned there that Tom Brokaw would be safe, but then he was pulled off of the murals because of something he had said and thought it would be a concern. So he just asked if there'd be ideas, who needs to be included. So what I wanted to, and we are not going to probably solve this tonight, because you really need to put some thought into, and you're fine to discuss. This is not a secret. Our theme is not a secret necessarily. We announced it in the spring, but we have famous South Dakotans. So if you've got sitting around the dinner table and say, oh, what about? And sometimes we get narrow vision and we only go back, 15, 20, 30 years. The Corn Palace has been here since 1892. There's a lot of history in our state. People would recognize folks. I'll throw out there, for example, an Oscar Howe, who is predominant in the Corn Palace. He's got his murals inside. We've got his art gallery upstairs. The history panels talk about Oscar Howe. So we need to make a list of probably 20 that would be good to include, and then we kind of pare that down as a board of who is best representative of South Dakota, the heritage of South Dakota, maybe representative of the Corn Palace. Is someone going to recognize, I forget the gentleman's name, the Mitchell that settled the railroad that our town's named after. I forget his first name, but
Alexander Mitchell.
Alexander Mitchell, okay? Now,
Chuck, didn't we have I thought we had a list.
Alexandria Mitchell.
We threw out several ideas while we were discussing this.
so
Do you have that in?
that would be in the minutes, yes, and I can share those. I'll dig those out.
I think that'd be a good
Okay.
idea as a starting
As a
point.
starting point, yep. And in fact, I think George McGovern was one of those. Well, he's on the Corn Palace. That doesn't mean he couldn't be again. Some people think he looks a little like someone else that's famous that's not so nice, with his little mustache,
Oh, jeez.
And, oh yeah, we've heard that a few times, but it's the medium we used, yeah. So, that's kind of our theme, and we really want to, the college, they go to spring break, and In fact, the COVID year, they didn't come back to school after March. So we really want to make sure we give them January, February, March. And they can do some research too. They can help us with that. And who they could do, who would recognize. Do we need to put the name of the South Dakotan in the mural? Like Alexander Mitchell, perhaps. Because they're probably not going to recognize that person. And so there's some things we can do. Maybe it's a representative of a, the person that created the first Corn Palace, very famous. So we can watch. I'll show that video. In fact, I should show that next meeting. I'll put that on the agenda to have you watch the Corn Palace video, because it has all kinds of history. It's very good. It's always good to kind of get reminded about that. I'm sure Jen would love to watch that again.
Yeah. One of the things, I don't think it's necessary to put the names in there. I think we could do something more interactive with visitors who come. Like, can you guess the famous South Dakotans, and have the visitor center hand out that. I realize there's not visitor center all months, but for
do a matching or a little
some
card.
sort of interactive thing.
Sure,
don't
I
know
love
if
that.
it's mobile or pen and paper, or both. It could be both.
You get one
But-
of the corn pens.
That'll get people to stay an extra 10 minutes. That always helps.
We've often been asked about, is our video online? Is it digitized so people can watch it? Well, we want them to come here and see that. But I think that you go to a lot of famous sites, you can do 3D tours of the Corn Palace. So I think there's a lot we can do with, we have the perfect partner, Dakota Wesleyan, to build interactive movies, because they don't just do art design. They do movies and videos, all kinds of digital media. So we have the perfect partner to do other things. And I'm open to suggestions. I come from that background a little bit of the digital side of stuff from my education days. But so I love that, Jen. Thank you. And so, yeah, that's something we want to talk about. So what I'll do, because if you've got names, you can just shoot me an email and say, hey, Doug, what about this one? And speaking of that, I should mention in our emails, when I send them out, I'll many times say, do not reply all. The reason we do that is it's a violation of South Dakota meeting laws if we reply to everybody in an email and the public was not allowed to participate or see that. So just reply to me. And sometimes we have to take a vote on things in the last minute. In that situation, I'll be very clear. Reply all. This is a board movement, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't know if anyone is listening closely, but we want to try to do the best we can, follow those meeting laws. So you can send me an email, ask questions. What I'll do is I'll follow up with the notes from our, I think that was November, December of last year when we picked the, under the Big Top theme, and we came up with some South Dakotans for this year. So I will dust that off and send those out, and then maybe ask the board for 4 or 5 names, and then we'll bring them all together in our November meeting. And the goal would be to get them, let the college do a little bit of research, see if they found anything that's kind of not so good. And then December, we would decide on those and give them a final. And then they'd have January, February, March to get us some designs and proofs. The goal is always to have the final done before they leave school, but we don't want to take any chances. And we learned our lesson the hard way in COVID. So any questions about the 2023 theme, famous South Dakotans? It would be famous South Dakotans 2023 on the marquee. So people will know, oh, famous, well, who is that? Well, then we have to maybe educate them. That's a perfect opportunity with some posters, some interactive video, maybe a slideshow, a handout, a little activity, a game. So lots of things we can do there.
So Doug, we kind of ran into this a little bit in the past of we put people out there and then we don't know if we should have contacted them to get approval. And does Justin have any input into this, or do you think we need to, if we put Mike Miller up there, I'm sure Mike will allow us to do it, but if we put Adam Vinatieri up there kicking a field goal for New England, I don't think New England's going to want us to put.
Sure. And there's always those copyright infringement issues. So Dakota Wesleyan has investigated those in the past. For example, Crazy Horse. We simply contacted them. They replied. We have that in a file. That yes, you're allowed to use the Crazy Horse likeness on the Corn Palace.
Okay.
So I will ask him about that and maybe a process, because I'm not famous, but I have a friend who wrote a book and included me in the book. And he paid me $1 and to sign that I'm signing away my rights, that any future movies, marketing, I'm not eligible for anything, basically. But it's a standard document that authors use. You have to use somebody in a book. So something like that could be done, and that I'm sure we could write up and say, do you allow us, and sign this release. So we probably have one from Crazy Horse. Just have to get that out. So I will check on that and send that out via email along with our sample names. Good idea.
Yeah, you probably help with it, do it. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to probably pay for the full extension of
Right.
Yes, there's probably, because the national parks could be the same. You know, we have Badlands National Park's probably an easy one. But you
Yeah,
go
they're
to
all
Washington
under one
Monument or, something like that.
I think that's why we come up with a list of 20, in case we run into any hiccups or can't get a hold of people or people say no. We ran into that with the Willie Nelson and Elvis and all of them too, so.
Yeah, that's right. It goes back more my time. Any questions about that 2023 theme? And again, sometimes we have to do the work outside, but it's kind of nice to sit around your table. You get some ideas from your family members and friends, and that's completely fine to do that. We appreciate it. Not that we'll give them, you'll get the credit for it, not your friends. Yeah, yeah, that's right. Anything else about that? Or otherwise, we would move into executive session and talk about our entertainment.
Because there's no public input.
There is none.
Need to make a motion to go into executive session? You got a first and a second?
Gene and John?
Yes.
Do you need to shut something off over there now?
Yes. So what I'm going to do then, we won't need the microphones, and then we'll shut off the